You can learn technique. You can get strong. You can get shape. You can get shape. All you need is somebody to point you in the right direction. If you got the right motor, the right mentality, you're going to be really, really good. So my talk this morning is, and we do this with our team a lot here at Virginia Tech. We talk a lot. We take 1 day a week or 30 minutes a day at least, or 30 minutes a week at least to work on the mental side of wrestling. Because if you don't understand the mental side of wrestling, if you're not mentally tough, you got no chance. You know, the cool thing about wrestling is, if you are mentally tough, it's so much better than every sport. You know, I think when I was an athlete, I was pretty mentally tough. But no matter how mentally tough I was, there was no way in hell I was going to play in the NBA. Why? 5'9". There was no way in hell I was going to play in the NFL. Why? 5'9". Even if you are 6'3", you don't have certain basic skills, God-given abilities, you're limited in some sports. That's the cool thing about this sport. Is I can tell you, I was a high school coach for 18 years. I had 69 state champs in 18 years. I can tell you, there was a lot of those guys. The only reason they were state champs wasn't because they were strong, wasn't because they were fast, wasn't because they had a great high crotch. So they had really, really strong eyes. They believed it. So this is kind of for the 10%. You know what I mean? Is if there's 300 people in here, 30 people are going to get something out of this. That's fine. That's how life works. That's how my wrestling team works. If I've got 30 guys in here, 4 or 5 are going to be really, 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 really good. So, you know what, I never worry about the other percent. All the kids that I had out for wrestling all those years, it was the 10, 15% that won all those state titles. Everybody else was just kind of on the team. So you got to make a decision here. I don't care how long you wrestle. I don't care how strong you are. I don't care how old you are. You make a decision that you're going to be in the 10%. You'll be in the 10%. No question, you'll be the 10%. A couple things I want to go down a couple things here that I think is really important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to challenge you. I'm kind of a go-for guy. Something's got to happen to spark you. You know, I can tell you, I was a high school wrestler. I grew up in Iowa. There's got to be a spark to kind of take you to that next level. And I hope maybe 20, 30 guys, maybe this coming to Virginia Tech, maybe here at Coach Stresser on a Friday morning will be your spark. And if that's the case, that's really good. That's awesome. But you got to have a spark. I'll tell you what it was for me. I was a kid that grew up in Iowa. Iowa was a youth wrestling state. I started wrestling when I was 6 or 7. Anybody else start wrestling when they were 6 or 7 here? Didn't have much formal club back then. Didn't have a lot of opportunities. Even though Iowa was a huge wrestling state, my school played football all year round. We were really good at football. When wrestling season started, they'd roll off the mat. When wrestling season was over, they rolled up the mats. There was nowhere to go, nowhere to train. But despite that, I had a pretty good feel for wrestling. I wasn't undefeated, but I had a pretty good feel for wrestling. I can remember being a freshman, and I got 5th in the state. I was the first wrestler in my high school ever to get 5th place in the state tournament. Lionel City High School, all alive. Man, was I fired up about wrestling. Man, this could be for me. Everybody in town is patting me on the back, telling me how good I am. So that motivated me. I trained really hard. Wrestling was important to me. Winning was important to me. I wanted to be a state champion really bad. I was a little weird, and I'll talk about that, but I was a guy that got up before school. Right when I got to high school, even in 8th grade, I got up before school and ran 4 or 5 mornings a week on my own. Didn't know any wrestling, but I was in good shape. I controlled what I could control. So my sophomore year rolls around, and I worked harder between my freshman year and my sophomore year than I ever worked, guys. I got 6th as a sophomore. I'm thinking, man, what's up with that? I worked my ass off. I went from 5th to 6th. Right then and there, I just turned 16 years old. Got my driver's license. Get your driver's license when you're 16 in Iowa. I decided right then and there that #1 wrestling was really important to me, and I needed to do something different. Go from 5th to 6th. changes. I didn't really know what the heck to change, but I needed to make a change. I needed to get in a better environment. So I kind of started, that was my spark, guys. That got me going. I decided right then and there, I got a driver's license. We had one of the best junior colleges in the nation down the road, about 25 miles, called Iowa Central Community College, still a great junior college. So I took off and started going down to wrestle with the college guys at 16 years old, and I took some buffalo. I remember wrestling a guy one day, I swear he hit me in like 17 graders, and they weren't the same grade. I won it. You know what? I got pretty tough. Kept going back, and I started figuring out others. I started hanging around, found some other guys that were 45 miles this way and 50 miles this way that were state champs. And they weren't really clubs, they were just guys getting together at their high school wrestling room because their high school wrestling coach opened it up. And you know what? That summer, I got so tough in about 2 months. I kept staying hooked up with the community college. Every time there was a break, holiday break, I'd go there and work out. And you know what? That action paid off for me big time. That was what kind of catapulted me in my career, now that I look back. I won state title as a junior, I won a state title as a senior, I got a small scholarship to a place called the University of Iowa. They had just won their 4th national title as a team. At the University of Iowa, ended up winning 2 Big Ten titles, got 4th in the nation as a junior, was a national champion as a senior, got named the top wrestler. My senior year, I got named the top wrestler in the nation, always. So I think my decision, my action between my sophomore year and my junior year of high school was to do something different, to think out of the box, stop hanging out with my buddies that didn't want to do anything. They're really at that age, you know, that was when everybody started drinking beer where I grew up. I don't really start drinking beer when you're your age. That's when everybody started drinking beer. 15, 16 years old, I'm alive. So I had a choice. I could go out to this park, Sheldon Park, and I could drink beer every Friday, Saturday night, 16 years old. And probably who else knows what they did. Or I could drive to Iowa Central Community College and train and go compete on these things. Now I give you guys credit, just like kind of give myself a pat on the back now. But back then, that was a tough choice. But you know what? There was women. Okay. And I'm driving in the car to a wrestling tournament 4 hours across the state. Probably, you know, wrestle freestyle, which I never wrestled that summer. And I was losing the guys that I was beating in folk style because my coach and I believed in that dressing, you got to wrestle freestyle. If you want to, you know, be big time, if you want to go to college wrestling. So, I don't know what your situation is. I don't know what you're doing. I know one thing. I know you're here this weekend. And you got a bunch of teammates that probably aren't here. So first off, you think a little bit like I think. But you got to follow it up. The 10%ers are going to follow it up. You have to decide if you're going to be the 10%ers or the 90%. What the 90%ers are going to do? The 90%ers are going to go home. They're not going to think or touch or do anything with wrestling until November. 10%ers are going to, this is going to catapult. Training is going to be important. There's 3 components of wrestling to be good at wrestling. They all involve work. Running, conditioning, cardio, that's 1. Weightlifting, strength training, that's 2. And wrestling. Get better wrestling, that's 3. You got plenty of things to do. When I grew up, I didn't have the wrestling component very much in my life. But I could sure do the weightlifting and the running and the conditioning.